Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us here at Archie Browning Arena. My name is Fanny in the Pack, and this is my co-host and friend, Dynamo Dash. We will be guiding you through tonight's doubleheader, your Pride bouts. I will start with a land acknowledgement. The Eaves of Destruction acknowledge and thank the Suk, Pachidat, and Lekwungen people, also known as the Esquimalt and Songhees nations, for allowing us to play the sport we love and host our events on their traditional territory. We are honored to live on this land and are working toward reconciliation, decolonization, and building relationships in our communities. We as guests recognize the importance of their ongoing relationship with the land that continues to this day.
A few local organizations you can support here are Victoria Native Friendship Center, Indigenous Perspective Society, and Raven, Respecting Aboriginal Values and Environmental Needs. With that, we're going to move on to our rosters, starting with the Rainbow Riders. Number 008 is Maniac. Number 0333, J. Skarsgård Tolkien. Number 504, Slaya Solo. Number 111, Draginda Dirt. Number 11, Smackwood. Number 202, Lethally Blonde. Number 255, Pansy Dragoon. Number 321, Dita Von Terror, your captain. Number 32, Pussycat. Number 404, Liability. Number 409, Jill Pickle. Number 40, Wheels of Fortune. Number 444, Slugs Bunny. Number 567, Pee Wee Sleigh House. Number 710, V Rex. Number 811, Brown Sugar Boba. And number 8, Scream Soda.
And skating in black, these are your glitter bombs. Number 007, Tuffy. 033, Poison Dart Frog. 04, Leslie McGuire. 127, Skylord. 23, Green Bean. 333, Shirley, Temple of Doom. 3, that's Brawl Patrol. 438, Gorge Bush. Your captain, number 46, Hot Flash. 47, Grim Steeper. 555, Chaos. 59, Artemis Prime. 666, Carry Me to Hell. 81, Blonde Tornado. 86, Silver Rogue. And number 94, Morning Glory.
Your skating officials for this first game, you've got Folando Furioso as our head ref. Our inside pack rep is Bobby Flair. Our jam ref is Ohms Lawbringer. Another jam ref, we got Hunky Dorky. Outside pack ref is Faffin' About. Other outside pack ref is Bodito. Papa Squat rounding out the outside pack refs, and we have an alt as Ruby.
On the non-skating official side of tonight's roster, your head NSO and jam timer, D. Spencer. penalty line tracking, Dutch roll and bruise, jam timer, dispenser. Scorekeepers are Slicer and Koala Mela. Scoreboard, Spacey Stacy, and penalty box manager and timers, Time Bandit, Chuck and Trish Trash. And supporting our NSOs tonight, we also have Honey Crueler behind the scenes.
And we are lining up. We are almost ready to start ourselves with some derby. I'm excited. Starting off for our first jam, lining up, we have number 08 Maniac for the Rainbow Riders versus Skylord for Glitter Bombs, and we are off. Quick start for both jammers. And there we go. 008 Maniac comes out with our lead jammer, followed closely by Skylord. Blocker's doing a great job of reforming here. Oh, and lovely duck by Maniac, pulling off some points. First points on the board.
The Eaves of Destruction wish to thank all of the outstanding sponsors that fund the gameplay that you enjoy. As we tell you more about them tonight, consider if you too would like to help us keep rolling through 2025. Contact us at eodsponsorship@gmail.com. Heading into the next jam for Rainbow Riders, that's Smackwood, number 11, using a little help from Brownie and Pawpaw jamming for the Glitter Bombs, working the inside line, fighting against Liability, takes a step around Brownie and hits lead jammer, heading out the pack in turn 2, and already on a lap, that is Pawpaw lead jammer for the Glitter Bombs. Margaret Smackwood now out of the pack for Rainbow Riders, also eligible to score as Pawpaw hits the pack, takes the opportunity to pass a few hips and score some points. The referee is indicating 2 points on the board for the Glitter Bombs that jam and holding the Rainbow Riders to the 4 from last jam.
Hazel's Ice Cream, a family dream of ice cream. Visit their bike cart here tonight for local handmade ice cream bars. Delicious. Lining up, going into jam 3. Jamming for the Rainbow Riders, we have Scream Soda up against Carry Me to Hell. First time out for both of these jammers. Carry Me to Hell up at the front of the pack, fighting hard, and out for lead jammer. Blockers are reforming, lovely. A little bit of a tight pack there as the jammers come around to hit these blocker formations. Some nice attempted offense. And we call the jam. Holding, I think, 0-0 both teams. Well, wait, nope, I was wrong. Rainbow Riders come up on top there with 2 points against the Glitter Bombs 1.
Slugs Bunny on the line for Rainbow Riders. And Silver Rogue for Glitter Bombs. Strong tripod at the back holding Silver Rogue with a bit of a knockout to the side. Silver Rogue steps back in and takes advantage of the space on the line. That's Dirt with the hit out to the outside line, hauling back Silver Rogue. A lot of gameplay just in the straightaway so far, with both jammers being drawn back by the opposition. Chaos again with a drawback. White Jammer is just approaching the pack again with Silver Rogue making some progress at the front of the pack. Pressing against White's offense, breaking that up a little bit. Silver Rogue keeping those feet moving, getting that pack moving in their favor slowly. But the pack is kept slow by White defense. As Slugs Bunny takes a penalty, a high block, and heads to the penalty box. That leaves Silver Rogue on a power jam. First power jam of the night in favor of the glitter bombs. A little bit of passive offense from Black Team has Silver Rogue working towards the front of the pack. A little bit difficult fighting against two powerful blockers. That's Dirt and V-Rex working together to stop that initial pass, but Silver Rogue does come out with that lead jammer with only 37 seconds left in the jam. A little celebration on Rogue's part, approaching on their first scoring pass. And that's those initial 4 points for that jam. As Slugs Bunny has re-entered the gameplay, and Black is putting up a tough defensive wall. A little bit of offense from Dirt allows Slugs Bunny to make that pass on the 3 blockers at the back. Slugs does scoot out the front, but no points on that jam, as that was an initial pass. That means the Glitter Bombs take 5 more points and add those to their score, leaving them at 8 at the start of the next jam, and Rainbow Riders at 6.
Allies Integrated Health. Healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegratedhealth.health. Moving on to Derby. Draginda Dirt coming on in hot. Maniac here is our jammer for the Rainbow Riders. Comes in hot, breaks through the pack and takes lead jammer. Number 47, that is Grim Steeper, out for his first time jamming for us this game. Maniac hits the pack hard, picks up a couple of points, I believe, and calls it off. Some big spills going on today already. It's been lovely.
In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight. We're heading into Jam 6. That's Blonde Tornado jamming for Glitter Bombs and Margaret Mackwood for the Rainbow Riders. Spread out pack to start the jam. NATO takes advantage of an open inside line and establishes lead jam. While Smackwood has some really nice footwork on the outside line at the beginning of turn 1, exiting the pack not long after NATO. NATO is now passing hips and scoring points, taps the hips and calls it off in time to prevent scoring from the Rainbow Riders. NATO's ref is indicating 3 points on that pass, holding Rainbow Riders to 0. Score now standing at 9 for Rainbow Riders and 11 for the Glitter Bombs.
In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight. We've got Scream Soda jamming up against Chaos. Couple of juniors here on the track, which is exciting to see them go against each other. Scream picks up a penalty, heading to the box. That makes it a power jam for the Glitter Bombs. Some lovely offense there by the Glitter Bombs, and Chaos comes in untouched. That's what we all want out of power jams. Lining up once more. Let's see if Chaos can do it again. Glitter Bombs blockers doing a great job of pulling pack here. Little bit of a run back there by, I believe that's Froggy. Nope. Chaos fighting hard at the back of the pack now. Up against some difficult blockers, but sneaks on through on the inside line with some lovely footwork. Scream now back on the track. Oof, lovely footwork on the outside as well from Scream Soda. Both jammers in a position to get points now, and Chaos calls it off before Scream can take anything. That was a 9-point jam for the Glitter Bombs, bringing them up to 20 against the Rainbow Riders, held at 0 that jam.
The Accounting Agency, a trusted partner for your financial future. Visit theaccountingagency.ca. Just about 10 minutes into our game and entering Jam 8. On the line for white is Dirt and Poison Dart Frog. Jamming for black. Quick pass at the front of the pack with lead Jam, leaving some blockers on the floor. Dirt following nice and shortly. Poison Dart Frog is tapping the hips. And the refs whistle the Jam dead, leaving that Jam scoreless. Sometimes our jammers just don't want to put up the race and risk lost points from the other jammer. So that's a 0-0 Jam, both teams.
Parkway Physio. Reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. Parkway Physio. Five-second warning from our lovely officials. And we're off. We've got Skylord jamming against Smackwood. Skylord comes out but takes a penalty, a cut track penalty. That means we've got a power jam for our Rainbow Riders with Smackwood jamming. Only 2 blockers on the track for the Glitter Bombs. Making hard work though for Smackwood. That was not an easy pass. Picks up 4 points. And some lovely offense by the Rainbow Riders there. Beautiful sweep by Margaret Smackwood on the outside, picking up another 4 points. We're going to continue on with this power jam. Smackwood hits the pack. Lovely step toes off the outside. Didn't even need her blockers or their blockers there. Full pack of blockers and jammers back on for the Rainbow Rider, the Glitter Bombs, and a lovely sneak by on the outside by Skylord. Jammers. Skylord picks up another 4 points with a beautiful duck on the inside there, untouched by blockers for their second pass. Doing a fantastic job of picking up some points here despite a power jam starting off. And Smackwood goes to the box on a penalty. Move into a power jam now for the Glitter Bombs. Skylord, beautiful sweep by the Glitter Bombs, making it easy for their jammer. Some really lovely blocking going on here in this game on these power jams. That is not an easy thing to do. Beautiful work. Nice little whip at the end there by Tuffy for Skylord. Picked up a couple extra points.
This is an exciting announcement. The annual Steves of Seduction drag show is happening on July 13th. Come watch some local legends and Eves of Destruction skaters drag it up and raise funds for our travel team. For tickets and more info, visit sos3.eventbrite.ca. Official timeout being called. We have some time for more sponsorship reads. For the after party this evening, come join us for some fun at Swan's Pub.
This official timeout is brought to us by Roller Girl, Western Canada's top-tier roller skate shop since 2003. Put some wheels on your feet and join us. They also sell a number of additional gear and some really lovely clothing. Pretty much anything derby related.
Our officials are ready and back in place, starting with the power jam in favor of the Glitter Bombs. That's Brawl Patrol. We like to call Brawl Patrol Pawpaw on the power jam. A little bit of offense, but the pack gets a little crunchy as Smackwood re-enters on an initial pass. Pawpaw does get lead jammer. Smackwood fighting the front of the pack. Turns past Grim Steeper and begins their scoring pass. And Pawpaw fights through some defense at the back, taps the hips, and Smackwood is left scoreless at the end of Jam 10.
Fun fact, it is Smackwood's first game back after a bit of a break from the Eves and Derby. We are so happy to have them back on skates and lovely to see them in action. Lining up here for our next jam, we have 202 Lethally Blonde up against 46. That is Hot Flash Captain for the Glitter Bombs. And we're off. Oh, tight pack here right on the jam line. Blockers making it not easy, and Hot Flash there wrestles their way through on the outside line, knocking down a couple blockers on the way, as they do. 202 Jammer stuck in the pack there still as Hot Flash comes around for their initial, or their scoring pass rather. Rainbow Riders blockers in the back doing a lovely job of reforming, though, not letting Hot Flash through. And that's the announcer's curse. Hot Flash out for 4 points. Rainbow Riders jammers still stuck in the pack on their initial jam. Looking for some help from their pivot, though. Lovely pass, but a nice recycle from Froggy there as the Rainbow Riders pivot now turned jammer in the back of the pack once again. Hot Flash working the front of the pack up against some 3 Rainbow Rider blockers. Ooh, fighting hard. We're throwing some punches here. Boba is now our jammer for the Rainbow Riders. Fighting up at the front, 1 blocker to beat, and they're out. Lovely work, Boba. Good fight. Hot Flash gets out, takes 1 last hit from a pal, and calls it off.
Visit the Eves of Destruction's exclusive food truck vendor, Las Panas Kitchen. Venezuelan food right outside right now. About a quarter way through this game, going into Jam 11. The score is Rainbow Riders 23 and Glitter Bombs with 12 points after that last jam have 51. That's not a big difference this early in the game. Both teams are putting up lead jammers and points, most jams. Getting ready to jam for Rainbow Riders is Maniac and Tuffy in black for Glitter Bombs. Maniacs had a lot of success tonight with lead jammer on each attempt on their first pass. We've got 1 blocker short on white at the start of this jam, with Tuffy fighting hard at the pack, but Dirt providing a lot of successful defense. Tuffy's fighting hard, gets hit to the outside, but with Dirt down on the outside line, Tuffy's able to make the initial pass and is given lead jammer status. Maniac is also out of the pack. Both jammers are now eligible to score. Tuffy makes a quick pass on the inside line and taps the hips to call off the jam, picking up 4 points and leaving Maniac without score this time.
That was some absolutely beautiful track awareness by Tuffy, knowing exactly when to step in when Draginda went down to the side there. Lovely work, Tuffy. Lining up once again here, we have Scream Soda up against, I'm really bad at seeing numbers, Blonde Tornado. No pack called, leaving a bit of an opening, and Blonde Tornado gets to the front. Lovely dip, and they are out for lead jammer. Scream Soda still fighting in the back of the pack, but comes on out. Couple of penalties called there. We're going to lose some blockers. Both jammers still on the track. Blonde Tornado, oof, coming in hard. Slows down on that inside line by V-Rex. Scream Soda gets taken on a penalty and heads to the box. That makes it a power jam for our Glitter Bombs. Fast pack here as Glitter Bombs keep it rolling, and some beautiful work out there by Blonde. NATO coming into the back of the pack now. 1 to beat up front. Beautifully done once again. Some lovely footwork on the lines here by NATO as our jammer. Glitter Bombs holding themselves together, getting ready to receive Scream Soda, who's now out of the box. Not before NATO can make another pass. Beautiful whip for Soda off one of their blockers. Pushy there. Gets them out for their initial pass, and they are now in scoring position. NATO gonna call it off before Scream can take any points, though. That was an exciting jam. We've got 18 points on the board for the Glitter Bombs, bringing them up to 73 against 0 points for our Rainbow Riders, holding them at 23.
Get your 50-50 tickets now. The draw will be during the halftime of the last game of the day, and you could leave richer than you arrived. Shirley Temple of Doom on the line for Glitter Bombs to jam this jam. Slugs Bunny back on the track, wearing rainbow shorts for the Rainbow Riders. Lots of great colors out there today. Pride Bout's always a lot of fun in terms of costuming and makeup.
This is our first time out jamming for Doom, hitting us on the track.
That rolling whistle means the officials are done chatting officials things, and we'll be starting the jam. Again with Shirley Temple of Doom jamming for Glitter Bombs. Slugs Bunny for Rainbow Riders. Shirley Temple of Doom pushing on the outside line. Doom has 2 blockers left to beat at the front. Knocks down Brownie and pushes past. Called lead jammer in a very short amount of time. Slugs Bunny is still fighting out the pack, but does make it out at the front, just slipping past Green Bean. Both teams reorganize their defense. Doom is approaching for points. See some offense from Green Bean. And Doom's ref is signaling 3 points with 1 white blocker in the box. That means that Doom passed 2 blockers, picking up a 3rd point for the blocker in the box. We sometimes call that a ghost point. So if you're not on the track, you will be scored on. So it's always a good idea to be out there with your friends.
We're gonna have a team timeout for the Glitter Bombs. This is a great opportunity to go get yourself some snacks. We have a number of lovely snack tables out there. I see salt tuck pies. They're one of my favorites. We've got the food truck out front. There's some candy there at our merch tables, and also, of course, ice cream bars. I take that back. We might be waiting on salt chuck pies, or they sold out already. To be honest, they sell out pretty much every game, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Visit the Roller Derby Moms table in our vendor village for souvenirs and to support our Junior Roller Derby travel. You can see their sign in bright pride colors, both above and on the front of their table if you want to pop by and visit during some of these pauses in the game, during our halftime or intermission.
Okay, that is the end of our team timeout. Hopefully Glitter Bombs got a little bit of a breath there, got to talk with their coach. We've got Draginda Dirt lining up here for the Rainbow Riders, up against Carry Me to Hell from the Glitter Bombs. Dirt out with lead jammer for our Rainbow Riders. Carry Me to Hell now doing some nice fighting in the pack. Oof, reformed by the Rainbow Riders, though, gonna shut them down in the front. Draginda Dirt, on the other hand, on their scoring pass with a lovely line up the outside. 1 to beat, and we've got a helmet cover pass by the Glitter Bombs. Your jammer now 007. That is Tuffy. Some lovely hits going on the track tonight.
Nice attempt at an apex jump. If you land 4 wheels on the track, you will get those 4 points, but if that doesn't happen, you'll have to reset in behind the other skaters. No points on that attempt. Straight and narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends both old and new. Straight and narrow. Grim Steeper now jamming for glitter bombs. Margaret Smackwood for Rainbow Riders. Two experienced skaters fighting for lead jammer. Blonde Tornado works really hard to recycle up to the front for defense, but Margaret Smackwood manages the lead jammer status. Steeps is still pressing really hard, takes off the helmet cover, opening up some options in terms of getting that star out of the pack. Smackwood is attempting to pass on the outside line. That brings the blockers out to that outside line and opening up the inside. That's calling do your own offense. And that's Grim Steeper heading to the penalty box for the glitter bombs. So this is an opportunity for Rainbow Riders to start capitalizing on points. Smackwood is working on their second scoring pass. Quick feet and strong lateral movement, passing NATO and Skylord, their pivot, to put up 4 more points on the board for Rainbow Riders. 8 points in this jam to help close that gap that the glitter bombs established early in this game. Liability with some offense for Smackwood. Smackwood passes a couple of hips and calls the jam off just as Grim Steeper is released from the box. So we will start the next jam, 2 jammers strong. Rainbow Riders posted 10 points that jam, bringing their total score to 41, and the glitter bombs remain at 76.
That is an official timeout. I think we're going to do some scoreboard fixing or talk about some penalties. Lining up here, we've got George Bush for the glitter bombs. Nice dancing, George Bush. Way to go. That's up against Sludge Bunny for our Rainbow Riders. That whistle means that we are back to Derby. Sludge Bunny trying to take an outside line, shut down by Poison Dart Frog. George Bush trying to take a middle line, just pushing through blockers. Moving with force, and they worked. They come out with lead jammer. Slugs Bunny stuck in the back of the pack still. Up against Green Bean and Doom. Those are some fierce blockers you don't want to be up against, that's for sure. George Bush hits the front of the pack. Pushing up against Boba. I see there some lovely blocking by both teams. Honestly, jammers are not moving fast this round. And Sludge Bunny out on their initial pass. George Bush almost peels out the front of the pack, but a lovely hit there by one of our Rainbow Riders, and they call it off.
Our amazing crew of dedicated officials is one of the Eves of Destruction's biggest assets. From non-skating officials to on-skates officials, they make it possible for us to all enjoy this sport that we love so much. To any of our Eves of Destruction members to find out how you too could be a part of this awesome crew. That's Dirt Jamming for the Rainbow Riders and Hottie for Glitter Bombs. Solid defense off the start of this jam means both jammers having to put in a tremendous amount of effort for their initial pass, but the pack is starting to stretch out. Dirt has made it past a few blockers at the back, slips past the pivot at the front as the pivot goes down, and is lead jammer. So Dirt is lead jammer for White, as Hottie is still attempting their initial pass at the front of the pack with a swarm of white blockers and a pivot as their lone offense. Dirt is caught up by a tripod of black at the back, but finds an outside line. Meanwhile, there's been a star pass to pivot Skylord. Dirt tries a shoulder hit to Skylord, but unfortunately loses their own balance. Dirt calls off the jam. Does find 4 points in that jam, and Glitter Bombs are left scoreless. But they did execute that really nice star pass. Jammers do have an option to hand off that helmet cover if they need a change. And the pivot who wears the stripe can become the jammer and take on the responsibility of scoring points for the team.
I think that's maybe like our third or fourth star pass we've seen this game, which, for those of you who don't know, most of this game is rostered by our hardcore level skaters, and that is some pretty advanced derby for our skaters who are out on some of their first or second games ever. Very good derby out here today. We are off once again. We've got Maniac for the Rainbow Riders up against number 3. That is Papa for the Glitter Bombs. Papa finds a beautiful inside line and comes out with lead jammer. Followed very quickly by Maniac. We're going to have to pick up some speed. Papa hits the pack first and calls it. Can they hold Maniac at 0 points? I believe so. That is a second no-point jam. Both teams held at 0.
Parkway Physio, reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. Thank you, Parkway Physio. Grim Steeper and Margaret Smackwood, we just saw this line up a few jams ago. Grim Steeper hits the pack at the front, a white wall with Smackwood trying the outside line. That's Poison Dog with the hit to the outside line, drawing Smackwood back. Feeds Smackwood to the tripod and provides support in front of the brace as Grim Steeper continues to push against that white defense at the front of the pack. Steeps is doing patient jamming, trying to find an opening that's going to help them through for lead jammer status. Smackwood is having progress at the front of the pack, but is crowded by a couple of black blockers. Poison Dart pauses to create a bridge to make sure pack is maintained so that their blockers can continue to stop Smackwood's momentum. Smackwood's fast feet, though, continuing to work away. This is a significant time for both jammers to face their initial pass. Nearing the 1 minute mark, and no one has exited the pack yet. Grim Steeper at the back fighting, does pass Brownie and is now working on the tripod at the front of the pack again. Smackwood with some fancy spin work on turn 3, exits the pack, but that's another fantastically quick star pass with Poison Dart Frog, the pivot, now becoming the jammer and eligible to score. Both jammers can score now, and the packs are ready with their defense. Smackwood to the outside, attempts a pass and calls it off.
Froggy snuck 1 point in there with some really lovely sliding backwards through the pack on a skate. Very good work. We've got an official review here. For those of you who don't know, each team is allotted 1 official review per half. This is where they can come and speak to the refs and argue their point if they think that a call was made incorrectly or some more points should have been given to their jammers. Then our lovely referees will deliberate and come back to us usually with an answer.
Hazel's Ice Cream, a family dream of ice cream. Visit their bike cart here tonight for local handmade ice cream bars. I can't wait to try one.
The black team is requesting a cut track penalty on the white jammer from the previous jam.
Straight from the head ref Orlando Furioso's mouth, we're looking for a track cut penalty on the white jammer. And that was Margaret Smackwood. So black team hoping to find themselves on a power jam at the start of jam 21 with 2:35 remaining on the clock for the first half.
No officials, whoa, that was loud. No officials had eyes on a gain of position while the white jammer was out of bounds. No call stands.
Thank you, officials, for everything you do. We couldn't play this game we love without our officials, and we absolutely adore them. We are done with our official review. We are back to Derby. That is Jurginder Dirt. I see up there against number 121, which is Skylord. Jurginder with some fast feet and some lovely pushing at the front of the pack. Dirt will take lead on the outside. Skylord fighting the back of the pack. Lovely line on the outside there. One to beat to the front, but oof, it is Scream Soda. Scream Soda is one of our Team Canada juniors, so not an easy blocker to beat at the front. Skylord back up on their feet, though, and making the best of it. Dirt in scoring pass on their second, I believe. Ooh, some nice juking, getting their blockers to overcommit on the inside, opening up an outside line for Dirt. Some lovely footwork this evening from Dirt here. Tuffy or Skylord still fighting at the front of the pack up against Scream Soda once again. Looking for some help from their blockers, but they're busy trying to hold Dirt back. And Skylord out on their initial pass. That was a hard fight by Skylord, but they've still got some energy in them, coming on into the back of the pack. Dirt makes another beautiful pass, racking up a total of waiting for points to calculate, I believe 16 points on the board for the Rainbow Riders in that jam. Skylord picked up one at the end there. Good work, Skylord.
Coming close to the end of this first half with just under a minute left on the clock. This is likely the last jam. Official timeout being called, and time to let you know about Straight and Narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends, both old and new. Straight and Narrow.
We've got a pretty nice close game here. I feel like the glitter bombs were pulling away at the beginning, but now we're into 22-point difference here. We've got glitter bombs at 82 and Rainbow Riders at 64. Honestly, at halftime, it's anybody's game at this point.
It's like what we like to see. Nice competitive derby, close scores, big hits, fast jammers. Stay tuned for a second game after this one, featuring the featuring the Steves versus the Jeeves.
That one's a tongue twister. I'm not announcing the second game, but I do not envy Fanny and Regrettal.
And this jam starts off with Maniac jamming for white and Blonde Tornado for glitter bombs in black. Maniac with a quick lead jammer status. Blonde Tornado fighting a pair at the back. Lots of recycling of black jammer by white pack as Maniac comes in for their first scoring pass. Knocked down to the outside by Tuffy. Will have to skate all the way back to the furthest most point of the contact zone. NATO is out on their initial pass with that not lead jammer signal, as Maniac is still continuing on this first scoring pass, hoping for 4 points as she taps her hips to finish the jam. 4 points it is for Rainbow Riders, bringing their total score to 68, Glitter Bombs 82, and we'll see if we have time for one more jam. And we do not. That is 0 on the clock and 15 minutes intermission.
Get your 50-50 tickets now. The draw will be during the halftime of the last game of the day. You could leave richer than you arrived. We are going to go to intermission now. This is your time to get a pee, grab some snacks or some ice cream, check out our food truck outdoors, and we will see you back in 14 and a half minutes.
Welcome back to Rainbow Riders versus Glitter Bombs Pride Bout. We are going into the second half of this game with both teams full strength, all 4 blockers, and a jammer on the track. 5 seconds is called. Pussycat, I believe this is Pushy's first time jamming for Rainbow Riders this evening. Poison Dart Frog for black on the line. Both jammers shoot up the inside line. White is your lead jammer. That's Pussycat racing against Poison Dart Frog. Both teams will have to strategically set up their defense, but not if the jammers call it off before points can be scored.
We have some fun stats for you here by Regrettal. Jammer stats. The Rainbow Riders have a 7 jammer rotation and have pulled out lead 9 times. The Glitter Bombs have a 12 jammer rotation and have managed to get lead 13 times in the first half. Lining up here, we have Tuffy for the Glitter Bombs versus Scream Soda. Oh, both try to take an inside line. Scream Soda riding on Tuffy's line, but gets popped out by Chaos. Some really nice junior on junior going on down there. Both of those skaters came up through junior programs and have recently started skating with the adults. We have a jammer in the box for the Glitter Bombs, making it a power jam for Scream Soda. Some lovely footwork, and they come out in front. Scream Soda checking with their bench to see what we're doing. Lovely sweep attempted by the Rainbow Riders, but the Glitter Bombs shut it down with some good defensive playing. Scream Soda fighting in a tight pack on the front there. Having a hard time with Green Bean and Chaos as to beat. And Tuffy sneaks out of the box, passes through the pack untouched, picks up 4 points. Scream still fighting the pack, being told to call it off by their bench. Not before Tuffy can sneak in a couple points, I believe, there. Refs are discussing 2 points up on the board for the Glitter Bombs, 3 and 4 for the Rainbow Riders.
Roller Girl, Western Canada's top roller skate shop since 2003. Put some wheels on your feet. 1 blocker short for Rainbow Riders. No pack called right off the whistle. No blocking until the pack is formed up again. Giving Skylord the opportunity to pass without any contact. In the meantime, Slugs Bunny fighting for their initial pass. Skylord approaching for points, takes the inside path. That's Dirt with the solid one-on-one blocking, and now aided by Pee-wee Sleighhouse. Tough 2-wall, but Blonde Tornado gets in there for some help, providing much-needed offense, and Skylord is able to post 4 points and come around for a second scoring pass. Slugs Bunny with the helmet cover now off, seeking to get that star out of the pack. Skylord passes up the inside line. Ref Hunky Dorky issues a track cut to Skylord, giving Rainbow Riders a power jam opportunity. Slugs Bunny does make it out the front of the pack. It puts that cover back on. Star cover carries with it the eligibility to score points, so it must be on the jammer's head when they pass through the pack. Slugs Bunny dips and hits NATO. 2 blockers at the front, cycling up on Slugs, knocking them to the floor. That's 4 blockers on Slugs and a no pack called, meaning Black has to release the jammer until pack is formed and get Slugs those 4 points they've been waiting for. Second scoring pass for Slugs as Skylord comes into the pack. Jammer to jammer contact means Skylord gets another scoring pass and posts 4 points to the board. Slugs is approaching the outside of Black Pack, fighting solo against that defense with no available blockers to provide offense as Scar returns from the penalty box. Stretched out pack with Skylord exiting the pack on a 3rd scoring pass. 12 points for the Glitter Bombs this jam, nearing the century mark on the scoreboard. Jam is whistled dead, and those tired jammers finally get to rest couple more points up on the board for the Rainbow Riders, and this jam will end with 6 points for the Rainbow Riders and 12 for the Glitter Bombs. Glitter Bombs just held under the 100-point mark.
The accounting agency, a trusted partner for your financial future. Visit accountingagency.ca. Lining up here, we have Maniac up against Hot Flash. Ooh, tight back here, right up against the pivot line. Both sets of blockers just completely locking it down. Maniac doing some nice side-to-side work, trying to make a hole in that blocker tripod, but none. Shut down there by Shirley Temple of Doom and Silver Rogue. Oh, Maniac just makes enough space. Pulls out on the outside line and has our lead jammer. Both pivots just exiting the box now. Coming in to join their friends. Maniac hits the back of the pack, shut down by a full contingent of Glitter Bomb blockers. Lovely hit out by Froggy there to the inside, and Maniac's gonna call it before Glitter Bombs can take any points.
Allies Integrated Health, healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegrated.health. 2-0 jam for the Rainbow Riders brings that score just a little bit closer as we are moving near the 1/3 mark through the second half of this game. Full contingent of blockers for both teams and both jammers on the track. Grim Steeper forming a bridge so that the pack can spread out. Gorgie jamming for the Glitter Bombs, pushing at the front, creates a no pack and is released by Rainbow Riders blockers. Scream Soda finds a path on the outside, so both jammers are now free to score points. Gorge is making their way to the front of to the back of the pack, hoping to score as Scream Soda also approaches. Gorgie does tap the hips and call off the jam with 3 points and holding Glitter Bombs to 0. Just closing that gap a little bit more in this exciting first game of the night.
Big EOD, thank you to our tireless photographers, Creative Miscellany and Danny Boynton Photography. We all look forward to revisiting tonight's greatest hits through your work. Back to Derby, we have Dita Von Terror out for the Rainbow Riders, up against Carry Me to Hell for the Glitter Bombs. A lovely attempted hit by Wheels there, but Carry Me to Hell. Lovely spinning and getting back up and on the track. Some good track awareness there from Carry Me to Hell, recognizing where they can step back in without getting a truck cut penalty. Once again, we have a helmet cover pass to Pussycat. Carry Me to Hell is going to call it off, though. That will make the second successful helmet cover pass for Rainbow Riders. Glitter Bombs have succeeded in 3 helmet cover passes.
That was another of the very few scoreless jams of the evening. We're now heading into the 7th jam of the second half. Silver Rogue on the line in black for Glitter Bombs and Maniac in white for Rainbow Riders. Maniac, a regular rotation jammer tonight in white. Silver Rogue, a fewer jams. Maniac out real quick for lead jammer status as that white wall is making it really challenging for Silver Rogue to find any space. Smackwood draws Rogue to the back of the pack, creating room for the blockers to set up defense. White is really quick to reform back into that tripod, making it an even tougher fight for Rogue as Smackwood once again pushes them to the outside line. Maney is up at the front, pushing for points with help from Dirt. That offense gets the black pack moving, and 4 points now go on the board for the Rainbow Riders, thanks to Maniac and that offensive help from Smackwood. Silver Rogue is still fighting hard at the back of the pack, but those relentless white blockers are not having any of it. Maniac has the pivot at the front. That's NATO to pass, with 4 scoring another 4 points. 8 points is bringing this jam to an 8-point game. Maniac number 08 with 8 points on the board closes the gap to 8 points. That's got to mean something. Maniac fighting for additional points at the front of the pack as the pack is slowed almost to a stop in turn 3. Silver Rogue is still fighting against that difficult defense, looking for help from NATO. A star pass is now complete. Blonde Tornado is now the jammer for Glitter Bombs as Maniac completes another scoring pass, bringing the total points for that jam to 12. NATO with some fancy footwork, hit out by Dirt, and resets to the back of the pack. Maniac, in the meantime, is around for another 4 points, and that is our lead change. First time in this half we're seeing a lead change with Rainbow Riders at 99 points and Glitter Bombs to 97. Maney with some solid shoulder contact on the inside line. Scoops another 4 points to bring that jam total to 20 points, making that one of the highest scoring jams of this game, and 103 total score for Rainbow Riders. Now Glitter Bombs still holding on with 97 points.
We have confirmed that is the highest scoring jam of this game. Thank you, Regrettal, for being on stats for us. Tuffy up here against Scream Soda. Oh, once again, our juniors with some beautiful footwork. Tuffy out in the front of the pack. Scream Soda coming out right behind. We have some lovely sportsmanship going on there. Oof. And a wipeout while calling it off by Tuffy. Both jammers held at 0 points.
Lots of excitement, but we still have to let you know to visit the Eves of Destruction's exclusive food truck vendor, Las Panas Kitchen, Venezuelan food right outside right now. The last time I was announcing, I was so excited to try their food, and then I got a chance to, and I can confirm it is worth it. If you have a moment, go check out Los Panos. This jam starts with Scar on the line for white, and Pawpaw on the line for black. Pawpaw, your lead jammer, as Scar has taken off the helmet cover. A successful star pass to Pushy Cat, with black pack being pressed forward and a no pack called, with black blockers releasing Pushy into their first scoring pass. Pawpaw is on their first scoring pass and pushes off of the back of their teammate Grim Steeper. Taps the hips to call off, but was it in time to prevent points from the other team? It was not. We've got points on the board for both teams. Rainbow Riders 3 and Glitter Bombs 3. A lot of tough work for a tie jam. Props to both jammers for that fight.
We are at a 7-point game here. Glitter Bombs holding it at 100. Rainbow Riders at 107. Drinking to Dirt coming up against Froggy on the jam line. Full contingent of blockers on the track. Froggy with a beautiful outside line. Lovely work. Comes out for your lead jammer. Dirt almost out in front, but taken out there by Chaos. Jill Pickle stopping the run back. Some really lovely blocker work going on there. Froggy hits the back of the pack with some fast footwork. Held up by a couple of the Rainbow Riders blockers, but out for their scoring pass. Dirt still fighting on their initial pass, but they make it out. Both jammers now in scoring position. Froggy through the pack picks up another set of 4 points and calls it off with some lovely track awareness. That is another lead change and a 1-point game.
We promised you some exciting roller derby, and the hardcores are delivering. 107 for the Rainbow Riders and 108 for the Glitter Bombs. We've got one white blocker in the box, so black with a slight advantage at the start of this jam. Both jammers ready to attempt their initial pass. That is Green Bean and Scream Soda. Scream Soda dipping low to the outside line. But solid tripod work by Black Pack means that Green Bean is the lead jammer this jam. Scream Soda is still fighting against that black defense. They can't contain Scream any longer, but Green Bean is on a scoring pass and rips through the apex to put up 4 points for the Glitter Bombs. widening that lead by another 4 points. That is 112 for Glitter Bombs and Rainbow Riders at a respectable 107.
Visit our roller derby mom's table in the vendor village for souvenirs and to support our junior roller derby travel. I think we counted, and I believe we have 5 aged up juniors on the track today. Our junior program here, 7 aged up juniors on the track today, which is an impressive number and a lovely work for derby. Skylord picks up lead while I gab on. Smackwood coming into the pack, still making it on their initial as Skylord hits the back of the pack. Oh, some lovely defensive work by Boba, but Skylord sneaks on through. Margaret Smackwood still on their first pass, but gets through with some lovely juking moves. Skylord comes in for 4 more points. One to be to the front. That's Boba. They're out and they call it. Can they hold Smackwood at 0 points? Hard to tell. Only the refs know. No, 2 points in the air for Smackwood. 8 up for the Skylord.
Tuffy called on a direction of gameplay penalty right at the end of that jam, so White will start with a 1-blocker advantage. Maniac and NATO on the line for their respective teams, and an official timeout. A team timeout for White gives us a little space to talk sponsors. In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight. Rolling whistle, bringing us back to the start of this jam. Maniac racing back from her bench, and NATO set on the line to jam for Glitter Bombs. Again, we've got a 1-blocker advantage for the White pack. Pushy Cat setting up on the outside line, some potential offense, but that turned into defense pretty quickly as Pushy attempts to stop NATO on the inside line. NATO sweeps over to the outside line and finds lead jammer status as Maniac continues to fight for their initial pass. NATO fast work on the outside line, bounced around by Maniac's attempts to get out on the initial pass, but NATO is through the pack with 4 points. Maniac does make it out on her initial pass, and both jammers are now racing around the pack as our blockers set up to prepare for contact. NATO to the outside line calls off the jam. Collects 4, it's hard to see ref hands, 4 points on that pass, but did lose 1 point to Rainbow Riders jammer, who was quick at passing the hips at the end of that jam.
Starting out this next jam, we've got Papa versus Dirt. 1 blocker in the box for our Glitter Bombs. Full contingent of blockers for the Rainbow Riders. Dirt making it to the front of the pack first. Papa stuck on the back of our pack, and Dirt is out for lead jammer. Papa fighting back against Lila Billy. Lila Billy doing some lovely blocking this evening. Papa still fighting. That's up against Scream Soda. And a lovely drawback there by number 202. That's Lethally Blonde. Fun fact, it is Lethally Blonde's first game out with us as an adult skater. Dirt making some quick work of a couple of passes. And another star pass by the Glitter Bombs. Your jammer now is Green Bean. Dirt gonna call it off before Bean can pick up any points. That is a 12-point jam for the Rainbow Riders. 122 Rainbow Riders, 128 Glitter Bombs. Another very tight game. We're doing great.
Straight and narrow, at the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends, both old and new. Take some time to make some friends with the Eaves of Destruction tonight at the after party at Swans. Carry me to hell jamming for Glitter Bombs. That's Slugs Bunny with a little side surf work on the outside line for lead jammer status, almost right off the whistle. Hell is also working hard at the front of the pack, looking for that initial pass and finds it in the middle of the apex. Slugs around for a scoring turn, hits the pack but is pushed to the outside line. He's fighting that black wall and sneaks past the tripod and steeps on the outside line for 4 points. Hell is fighting against black pack, white pack's solid wall. Nice spin work, but does find a seat on the track at the hands of Margaret Smackwood as Slugs Bunny makes another scoring pass. That's 4 points for Rainbow Riders and another lead change. This game is back and forth at anybody's game with just over 10 minutes remaining. Rainbow Riders have 130 points and Glitter Bombs 132 points. This is a 2-point game and so exciting.
Both teams just absolutely turning it up in this second half. Coming into Jam 15, we've got Tuffy up against Maniac. Both these jammers have been out a few times. Full contingent of blockers, no pack called, leaving a little bit of space for Tuffy to get through. Hits the front of the pack, but not before Maniac blows through both packs and out for lead jammer. Tuffy close behind. All of our blockers getting back up and trying to regroup. These are some hard jammers to stop, folks. Maniac through and calls it off. Tuffy pulls off a couple of points.
1 point.
Oh, so close to a lead change as our leaderboard gets up there. Still a 1-point game.
Dragon to dirt and Blonde Tornado on the line as jammers for these exciting roller derby teams. Dirt's issued a false start and does have to reset and allow opportunity for NATO to take advantage. Not a penalty. Dirt is back in the pack, just has to yield, but it does allow Blonde Tornado the opportunity to get lead jammer status. Dirt's fighting hard though and finds a space on the inside line. Really skating hard around the track to prevent any damage from NATO's lead jammer status. Dirt is in the pack and scoring before NATO makes a choice to call it off. But Dirt is issued a track cut and is heading to the penalty box. That's double jammer track cut, so this is going to be the quickest jammer penalty flip around you've ever seen as NATO sits down. NATO's told to stand up. This is what happens when jammers get penalties at the same time. They serve the same amount of time in the box, no matter how little. NATO's back on the track with white team set up with defense at the back. A little bit of potential offense from Poison Dart Frog, but NATO finds the outside line. Chaos with the attempted block at the front of the pack, but NATO skirts that and is now scoring. That's 4 points for Glitter Bombs with a little bit of extra help in that lead. Dirt fighting that black defense at the front. Green Bean with a very great blocking game this evening, constantly on White Pack's jammers. Pop-On now taking their turn at holding Dirt back, but Dirt is persistent and makes it out the front of the pack. Not lead jammer, and that was her initial pass, so NATO is still eligible to score without threat of opposing points. There's no lead jammer this jam because of those penalties, and there's a few seconds left for both to put points on the board. NATO loving that outside line tonight, takes a chance at it, but is knocked out of bounds by Lethally Blonde. And that jam goes a full 2 minutes. That's rare. We haven't seen much of that tonight where the jam's gone a full 2 minutes. Glitter Bombs putting up 12 points and widening that lead, but it's still a close game with Rainbow Riders trailing only by 9 points. Math. 9 points.
We are coming up in Jam 17. We have Carry Me to Hell up against Smackwood. Carry Me to Hell hits front of the pack. Smackwood knocked to the outside by Skylord and dragged back just a little. Carry Me with some nice footwork on the front. Oh, and some big wipeouts all around. Carry Me to Hell out as the lead jammer. Smackwood close behind with some lovely footwork as well on the inside. Both of these jammers very good at running around on their toe stops. Carry Me to Hell comes in backwards trying to pick up some points. Calls it off. That looks like a 4-point jam for the Glitter Bombs, 0 for the Rainbow Riders. Glitter Bombs stay in the lead.
The annual SEDUCTION of Seduction Drag Show is happening on July 13th. Come watch some local legends and EVES of Destruction skaters drag it up and raise funds for our travel team. For tickets and more information, visit SOS3 at eventbrite.ca. That's Maniac again for Rainbow Riders as jammer and lead jammer with a very quick pass on the outside apex. Tuffy fighting for her initial pass. Pussycat providing trouble at the back, leading Tuffy into the white tripod, but Tuffy sneaks around the inside line and is now eligible to score points. Maniac has finished that first scoring pass, taps the hips, and collects 4 points before Glitter Bombs have an opportunity to score, closing that gap by another 4.
With only less than 5 minutes left in this game and still a pretty tight game, I imagine we'll be seeing some close call-offs there. Jammers will collect as many points as possible and call it off before their opponents can get any points. Means for some shorter jams and a little more action so long as our jammers stay out of the box. We've got Poison Dart Frog up against Scream Soda. Poison Dart Frog comes out with lead. Scream going to the box on a penalty. That will make it a power jam for our Glitter Bombs. Some lovely offensive work here by our Glitter Bombs, kind of keeping the pack moving quickly and breaking things up for Poison Dart Frog so they can hop on through. Rainbow Riders doing some lovely reforming, but a no pack, and they have to let Froggy go. 4 points for Froggy. Coming in with some speed to the back of the pack. Draginda Dirt doing some lovely defensive work there, shutting down that offense. Froggy comes out with 4 more points. Scream Soda released from the box and hits the back of the pack on their initial pass still. Oh, some big hits from our Glitter Bombs, but they can't keep Scream off the track. Scream makes it out on their initial. Froggy through for another 4 points. Gonna call it off before Scream Soda can pick up any points. That is going to be a 12-point jam for Froggy. 0-point jam for Rainbow Riders and Scream Soda. Glitter Bombs still in the lead.
Parkway Physio, reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the second half with a 21-point score difference. Rainbow Riders looking for lead jammer status in hopes of closing that gap. That's V-Rex at the front with black defense trying to stop their lead jammer status. V-Rex does find lead jammer status and is now eligible to score. Skylord jamming for Glitter Bombs, not far behind. V-Rex taps the hips for a call-off. A little bit of a wobble on the skates there, but when you don't have control, you're not as responsible for that track cut scenario, so we'll see what the refs say.
We're gonna see an official review here by the Glitter Bombs.
We'll know momentarily what they're asking for, but it's likely it's to do with the call off at the end of the jam with V-Rex skating off the inside track boundary just before making the call off. we'll see what the refs have to say, as there was a loss of balance as that was happening, and if a skater's not in control, it's not necessarily going to be a cut until they've had a chance to correct it. All about the timing and other little factors that our refs know all the things about, so Rolando Furioso will let us know shortly what the outcome will be.
Speaking of official reviews, our amazing crew of dedicated officials is one of the EVES of Destruction's biggest assets. From non-skating officials to skating officials, and I need to stop.
Black team is requesting a penalty on the white jammer from the previous jam for an illegal call-off.
That there is what Fanny was talking about moments ago. You are not allowed to call off the jam if you are skating out of bounds without being struck by another skater. You're not allowed to leave the track unless somebody hits you out of the track or you're fixing your equipment.
Roller derby must be played within those pink lines. They're not always pink, but we seem to have a love for that color here, especially on Pride Night. But yes, if you are not between those lines and gameplay is happening, there's a good chance you'll find a seat in the penalty box. We'll see what the referees decide on this one, as it's pretty vital for the Rainbow Riders to have a jammer on the track at this point in the game with only 2 minutes, 16 seconds left and a 21-point gap. It is looking a little bit more likely that the glitter bombs will come out on top.
White jammer in the previous jam left the track while calling it off, was not in control of their wheels at the time, so the no call will stand.
And we're back to derby. That'll be no penalty for the white jammer. We get both jammers on the track. Glitter bombs down one blocker. Tuffy skating for the glitter bombs up against Devotee for the Rainbow Riders. That's the whistle. Tuffy gets a false start. Started skating a little before the whistle. Has to cede their position momentarily. Oh, the confusion works in their favor, though, when Tuffy is out for lead jammer. Devotee fighting through that pack with some good hard hits and is out on their initial. Tuffy first to hit the pack, pushing through a full contingent of Rainbow Riders. Some lovely footwork on the inside, and we'll call it before Dita can hit the pack for points.
Jam 22 leaves us with 1:40 on the clock and plenty of time for another jam. The referee was calling a false start to one of the jammers at the beginning of that jam. A false start is not a penalty unless it's followed by a whistle, which means the skater who's told they've false started has a moment to reset their position and allow other skaters to take an advantage. If they do so, they will not have to report to the penalty box. In that case, both jammers paused for a moment just to ensure that they were in legal position before resuming the game, and both jammers got to play on. Referee crew getting back in position for the start of this jam. And our jam timer is showing 5 seconds. Calls the start of the jam with dirt on the line for the Rainbow Riders, and Green Bean with fast feet pushing for lead jammer status for the glitter bombs and gets out the front of the pack. First one to pass all the skaters legally is lead jammer. Dirt is close behind, though. This has been the theme of the night. Quick initial passes. Hit and quit jams. That's Green Bean with a hit and quit, scoring 3 points and holding Rainbow Riders to 0 for that jam, widening that gap just a little bit more and securing their lead.
Quick call off by Dirt means that we will get one more jam likely before the clock runs down. Coming out, we've got Carry Me to Hell for the glitter bombs up against Slugs Bunny for the Rainbow Riders. Both jammers are off. Oof, and both jammers hit in the front. Carry Me to Hell stays in bounds. Slugs Bunny knocked to the inside. Carry Me to Hell comes out with lead jammer. Slugs Bunny pulls out on their initial. Some lovely footwork there, dodging out of the blocker's way. Carry Me to Hell picks up a couple points knocked down by Liability and calls it off. That will end our game with an unofficial score. Glitter Bombs coming out on lead with 172. Rainbow Riders at 141. What an amazing game of Derby, Fanny.
Such a close fight. So much excitement. Our wonderful lead announcer is down on the track, ready to aid in handing out some MVP awards. Here comes Regrettal to let us know who's going to take home some acknowledgements.
Don't forget to get your feet down to the track so that you can say hi to all of our skaters and give them all the high fives as they skate by. Don't be shy. Come say hello. Waiting for our skaters to do their skate out. Take your victory round, Glitter Bombs. You worked hard and you played a lovely game.
What an amazing crowd we have out here tonight. Thank you so much for celebrating with our first teams. Let's bring our attention to Regrettal in the center of the ring for some MVP awards.
I have your MVP award recipients in hand. MVP Jammer for the Rainbow Riders, Maniac. Come and hang out with Vi. Just hang out with Vi. MVP Jammer for the Glitter Bombs, NATO. MVP Blocker for Rainbow Riders, Wheels. Where did Wheels go? They're getting changed for another game. All right, we're still going to move on. MVP Blocker for the Glitter Bombs, Frog. Team Spirit for Rainbow Riders, Slugs. And Team Spirit for Glitter Bombs, Haughty.
Okay, folks, that ends our first game. Take a break, grab something from our beverage garden, get some snacks. We'll be back. Game 2 is the Steves of Seduction versus the Jeeves of Deduction.
Get ready for all the puns.
Welcome back, Victoria. Before we get started with our next game, the Eaves of Destruction acknowledge and thank the Tsuk, Pachirat, and Lekwungen people, also known as the Esquimalt and Songhees nations, for allowing us to play the sport we love and host our events on their traditional territory. We are honored to live on this land and are working toward reconciliation, decolonization, and building relationships in our communities. We, as guests, recognize the importance of their ongoing relationship with the land that continues to this day. A few local organizations you can support are Victoria Native Friendship Center, Indigenous Perspective Society, and Raven, Respecting Aboriginal Values and Environmental Needs. Cue music.
And now announcing this year's Steves of Seduction, skating in black. 0-0, Steven Seau. Saturday Night Stever, number 011. 03, you, Steven. 06, Chaotic Stevel. 09, Pet Steve. 127, Lord of the Steves. 19, Stove. 2, Stevia. Number 23, Mr. S. Bean. 33, Steve Me Alone. This is 3791, Hot and Stevie. 39, Stale. 61, Run DM Steve. 613, Stephen Hot King. 705, Stephen Conditioner. And number 86, Stevie Licks.
And our skaters in white, these are the Jeeves of Deduction. Number 0504, Jeeves 3PO. 13, Jeevesy Does It. 14, Jeevy Catapult. 17, Agatha Jeevy. 1701, Macaroni and Jeeves. 180, Ban Jeeves. 32, JEEVES. 333, axjeeves.com. 40, Jeeves and Worcestershire. 47, Jeeves Me Alone. 53, Jeeves Whiz. 555, Beetle Jeeves. 59, Jeeves and Crackers. 604, Keanu Jeeves. 76, Mischievous. 8, Nacho Jeeve. We'll give you a quick read through of who our officials will be for this game. Our skating officials, Head Rev Hunky Dory IPR Rolando Furioso, Jam Ref Bobby Flair, other Jam Ref faffing about, outside pack refs Bodito, Honey, and Hottie. Our alt for this game, Papa Squat.
And our NSOs for this evening, head NSO and jam timer, D. Spencer. Penalty lineup tracking, left on red and Chuck. Penalty wrangler, Ohms Lawbringer. Scorekeepers, Slicer and Spacey Stacy. Scoreboard operator, V-Rex. Penalty box staff, Time Bandit, Skate Bush and Dutch Roll. And alting this evening, Shan't Go.
And skating in white, we have Jeeves. In black, we have Steve. That Steve is Stove. Points or lead to Stove. Hit to the inside. That Stove at the back. Jeeves number 7-3, push to the inside, trying to make their initial pass, just getting to the pivot line. Stove in the middle of the straightaway on their scoring pass. Miss Jeeves still working at the front there as Stove gets through inside line on the apex. 4 points up for Steve. Jeeves pivot reports to the penalty box. Initial pass completed by Ms. Jeeves. Jam ends with Steve's having the first points on the board.
The Eves of Destruction wish to thank all of the outstanding sponsors that fund the gameplay that you enjoy. As we tell you more about them tonight, consider if you too would like to help keep us rolling through 2025. Contact us at eodsponsorship@gmail.com. That's GV Jatapult on the line for Jeeves. Attacking that black pack off the whistle. Black Jammer making quick work of the front pack. That's 3-3 Steve Me Alone, lead jammer for the Steves of Seduction. Jeeves out the front for their initial pass as Jeeve Me Alone wishes to be left alone while collecting points on their first scoring pass. And he taps the hips, requesting call off from the referees. And collects 2 points, leaving the Steves of Seduction score after jam 2 at 8 points.
Hazel's Ice Cream, a family dream of ice cream. Visit their bike cart here tonight for local handmade ice cream bars. Both me and Fanny did that in our halftime break, and boy, were we refreshed. Chaotic Stevel, number 06, and Jeeves Wives, number 5-3. Jeeves Wives, your captain, headed to the penalty box for the Steves. And it's through the front of the pack for Steves of Seduction with the lead. Jeeves in the penalty box. Power jam in favor of Steves. Chaotic Stevel, your only jammer on the pack, being pushed to the inside line by Ban Jeeves. Ban Jeeves takes a penalty. Chaotic Jeevel recycles behind the back of the pack. Stevia holding that run back from happening. Chaotic Jeevel back at the back of the pack. Jeeves Wives back on the track. Chaotic Stevel through with 4 points. Jeeves Wiz on their initial pass. Chaotic Stevel calls that jam off as they approach the outside of the pack. No points, but no points for the either team.
Allies Integrated Health. Healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegrated.health. Jamming for the Steves of Seduction, Hot and Stevie, and Keanu Jeeves for Jeeves of Deduction. Keanu stepping right off the line. Hot and Stevie working the middle of the pack to the outside. That's Keanu Steves lead. Jammer for Steves of Seduction. Hot and Stevie fighting against one blocker at the front of the pack for initial pass. Fighting hard against 3-3-3. Does escape the pack as Jeeves approaches back of the pack for a first scoring pass. Takes a little offense from 180. 180 takes the direction of gameplay penalty, but does manage to help their jammer out a wee bit. Hot and Stevie is hot and sneaky. Sneaks past on the outside line for 4 points for the Steves of Seduction. Jeeves of Deduction call off the jam and collect their 4 points, leaving that jam tied.
Allies Integrated Health. Healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegrated.health. I don't know if you folks in the audience can tell, but some of these skaters look familiar. They've all got new names. They've all got new shirts. Your announcers are struggling to call them by the new names, but boy, are we the allies that are going to try. Steve versus Jeeves. Both jammers out close together. Jam ref for the Steves is indicating lead goes to Steves. Jeeves is in forward position. Both jammers racing to the back of the pack. A penalty takes Steve off the track. Jeeves takes 4 points. Power jam in favor of Jeeves. Jeeves, he does it. Jeevesy does it, pushing against Steven as they pass the jam line. Jeevesy does it through with 4 points. Pack is spreading out around the apex. Destruction of pack penalty. It takes 1 Jeeves to the box. Jeevesy does it, working on another scoring pass. That's an initial completed by Steve 007. That jam ends with another 2 points on the board. Brings our score 2 points apart. Jeeves of Deduction 14, Steves of Seduction 16.
In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight. Remember, folks, that our beer garden sales close at halftime of this game. Jeeves of Deduction Jamather, that's Agatha GV. Ban Jeeves out quickly for Jeeves of Deduction. We've got a name mix-up between the scoreboard and the jersey. I'm not sure what to call this jammer, but they are now scoring. Number 17 for Jeeves, making a quick pass on the outside line. Steve Me Alone also says, I'm out of here, and quickly follows White Jammer, who calls off the jam to prevent any further scoring by their opponent. 4 more points posted to the sky by both jam refs. Our score now stands Jeeves of Deduction 18 points, Steves of Seduction 20 points.
The Accounting Agency, a trusted partner for your financial future. Visit accountingagency.ca. We are revisiting our first jam where we've got Stove versus Mischievous. Stove is our lead. Is the first lead in a while for the Steves of Seduction. Mischievous hit to the outside while Stove takes an inside line looking for points. Stove on the floor. Mischievous back in the pack. Stove now looking outside. Full pack going around the apex. Stove looking for some offensive help there from number 2-7. That was 1-2-7, Lord of the Steves. A little bit of help at the back from Keanu Jeeves. That helps get Miss Jeeves through the pack. Initial completed. Stove calls off that jam, owning all of the points. 4 points to the Steves.
Parkway Physio, reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. We got a jam between Hot and Stevie and GV Jatapult again. GV on the line in white and Hot and Stevie in black. Tripod work at the front, holding GV from that initial pass. Hot and Stevie also fighting hard against a difficult tripod. Pushes that tripod to the front of the pack. GV trying to do the same. Does find some space on the inside line, but takes a tumble. Does have to step in behind some skaters, but some really quick footwork gives him a bit of an advantage. They're called lead jammer, but playing it safe and recycling to the back of the pack. He's jumping back in behind that defense. Hot and Stevie now on a scoring pass. Jeeves decides that that's enough to call it off. Believe that jam scoreless, as the Jeeves decide they're not going to risk any stolen points.
The annual Steves of Seduction drag show is happening on July 13th. Come watch some local legends and Eves of Destruction skaters drag it up and raise funds for our travel team. For tickets and more, visit sos3.eventbrite.ca. In black, we've got Stevie, and in white, is that Keanu Jeeves, helmet cover in hand at the front of the pack? Pack is reforming at the back. Helmet cover is being retrieved by Keanu Jeeves. And a nice line found on the inside, gets right past Chaotic Steve. Lead goes to Keanu Jeeves. We have had a helmet cover pass from Steve. Now sitting with Chaotic Steve. 4 points for the Jeeves.
If you're having fun with us here tonight, join us after the game this evening at Swan's Pub. Steve Me Alone doesn't want to be near anybody, starting solid 25 feet behind the other jammer at the beginning of jam 10. Jeevesy does it, anticipating the jam start, a little bit ahead of Steve Me Alone and using some offense at the front of the pack to try to get out. Macaroni and Jeeves attempts a little one-on-one defense, but Steve Me Alone exits the front of the pack, establishing lead jammer quickly, followed closely by Jeevesy does it. Both jammers are now eligible to score. Steve Me Alone taps the hips upon entering the pack and puts up 1 point, holding off Jeeves to 0 for that jam. The score now stands at Jeeves of Deduction 22 and Steves of Seduction 25.
Roller Girl, Western Canada's top roller skate shop since 2003. Put some wheels on your feet. Steven Seagal and GV Jatapult. Steven Seagal out with lead for the Steves of Seduction. GV Jatapult hit to the inside by Steven Conditioner. Steven Seagal hit to the inside. GV Jatapult threw in their initial pass.
Visit the Eves of Destruction's exclusive food truck vendor, Las Panas Kitchen, Venezuelan food right outside right now. A couple of the jammers tonight are enjoying that run up to the jam start. I believe this is the first time we're seeing Beetle Jeeves on the line for Jeeves of Deduction. Mr. S. Bean for Steves of Seduction. Nice tight pack at the pivot line. The jammer status goes to Beetle Jeeves at the top of turn 1. Mr. S. Bean takes a tumble on the inside line, but resumes jamming at the back of the pack. Beetle Jeeves is out on their first scoring pass with 4 points, making her way around the track for some more points, followed by Mr. S. Bean, also hungry for points. Blocker reporting to the penalty box for the Jeeves of Deduction, giving Black a small advantage on the track, as both jammers are still fighting for points. Beetle Jeeves calls off the jam with a total of 8 points on the board for the Jeeves and 4 for the Steves at the end of that jam. This is a 1-point game, another exciting game for our crowd this evening.
Get your 50-50 tickets now. The draw will be during the halftime of this game. You could leave richer than when you arrive. I see my friend with the 50-50 bucket at the back of the chairs on the floor. Go get your tickets from them. We've got Stove versus Miss JEEVES. We've seen these two jammers against each other twice already in this game. Miss JEEVES at the front of the pack at the moment. All of those Steves to get past. Macaroni and Jeeves holding up the middle there. Both jammers out, but lead goes to Miss JEEVES. Miss JEEVES doesn't believe they're going to get there in time to steal the only points. Calls that jam. Steals it away from Stove.
Visit the Roller Derby Moms table in the vendor village for souvenirs and to support our junior roller derby travel. Many of the skaters you see on the track tonight got their start with the EVES Junior Roller Derby team. 2 of them are jamming right at this moment. That's Steve Me Alone and GV Jadapult. We've got a penalty right off the whistle, direction of gameplay called against Steven Seagal, number 007. We have a lead jammer at the front. That's Steve Me Alone. Lots of success getting leads tonight for Steve Me Alone. GV Jadapult, though, with those fast feet, is forcing the call off as our former juniors make this a very exciting jam.
Straight and narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends both old and new. Our amazing crew of dedicated officials is one of the EVES of Destruction's biggest assets. From non-skating officials to on-skates officials, they make it possible for us all to enjoy this sport we love so much. Speak to any official or EVES of Destruction member to find out how you, too, could be a part of this awesome crew. And we're back going into jam number 15. We've got Hot and Stevie and Keanu Jeeves. Keanu Jeeves is our lead jammer this jam. Hot and Jeevee currently at the front as Keanu Jeeves comes in. Keanu Jeeves through. 4 points on the board for White. Hot and Stevie, helmet cover in hand, coming up to the front of the pack. They've got 1 to beat in number 180. And that's through on a scoring initial pass for Hot and Stevie. Points put on the board for the Jeeves of Deduction.
Parkway Physio, reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. Official timeout in the center of the track. Our refs will need a bit of time to sort some things out. Let me tell you then about Hazel's Ice Cream, a family dream of ice cream. Visit their bike cart here tonight for local handmade ice cream bars. I visited them early and I had a delicious chocolate-covered bar I highly recommend. They're actually inside here in the center of the vendor village near the entry.
They're posted up right between the Beverage Garden and Roller Derby Moms. All of those are good places to visit. Oh, so at the end of that row of tables, we have the Eves of Destruction merchandise table. You can get a team shirt for any one of our house teams. Also, the Rotten Apples Junior Derby have teams there. Sorry, they have t-shirts there. As this game goes on, I think I'm getting more and more tongue-twisted. Fanny, Jeeves and Eves are so close to say in my head, I can't tell if I'm saying Steve or Jeeve anymore. They all sound the same.
I know, and we were discussing how we might just say Jeeven or Steves
Steven
of Deduction
or
or Jeeves of Seduction or Eves of Deduction, Seduction, who knows?
We've got number 40 on the track pointing out the difficulty of saying Jeeves and Worcester. Whatever happened during that break, the officials decided to send Keanu Jeeves to the penalty box. That makes this a power start in favor of the Steves of Seduction. They have sent out Mr. S. Bean. Mr. S. Bean currently at the front of the pack. The rest of those Steves holding up the back with some passive offense, trying to spread out the pack. As soon as they say that, they all come in with some offensive help, and boy, does that help. Mr. S. Bean through the pack. Lead goes to the Steves of Seduction. Back on the track, Keanu Jeeves jamming for the Jeeves of Destruction. Push to the inside on a point scoring pass. Mr. S. Bean at the front. Jeeves and Worcester doing some zone work at the front of the pack as Keanu Jeeves gets through. That's an initial pass being indicated by our jam ref. Jam ends with a 3-0 score on that jam.
Straight and narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends, both old and new. Heading into Jam 17 with just under 11 minutes on the jam clock. We have Stove for the Steves of Seduction and Jeevesy does it for the Jeeves of Deduction. Jeevesy does it with some nice quick footwork, but also a cut at the front of the pack, leaving the Steves of Seduction with a power jam and the opportunity to get lead jammer with all their offense available. 4-strong defense from the Jeeves will make that a difficult task as Stove pushes to the inside line. Offense coming to the outside, nearing the apex. Doesn't quite make it work for Stove. That's a shoulder for Macaroni and Jeeves to the outside line. Stove's required to recycle back to the top of that turn. Trying for that outside line again. With 4 solid white defense, this is a difficult task indeed. Pivot up front for Steves. Providing a little bit of offense, but watching pack as 1-3 from the Jeeves of Deduction re-enters the pack. Jeevesy does it now, pushing for her initial pass. Swings past the hips of most of the opposing blockers and does get the initial pass as Stove comes in to score. Stove attacks the pack hard on the inside line, attempting some points before calling off the jam. Just 2 points on that scoring pass. That was a successful power jam for the Jeeves of Deduction. Defending against a power jam and holding a jammer to 2 points is a relatively challenging thing to do, but they made it happen. Score nice and close now with 34 points on the board for the Steves of Seduction. The Jeeves have 35, so very small lead with under 9 minutes in this half.
Miss Jeeves and Steve Me Alone are our jammers this round. Steve Me Alone indicated as our lead. It looks like we've had a successful star helmet cover pass. Number 180 now our active jammer. That's banned. That's not the number I've got on my list. Steve Me Alone hit to the outside. 180 with a hop on the inside.
Roller Girl, Western Canada's top roller skate shop since 2003. Put some wheels on your feet. This next jam will start with a white pack advantage. Pivot for Steves of Seduction. Remaining in the penalty box from the last jam. Hot and Stevie, GV Jadapult, your jammers on the line. GV making quick work of the black pack at the front as Hot and Stevie is tossed to the floor. Stevia coming in to put a little pressure on White Pack's defense. As GV on their scoring pass, some offense from Keanu Steves sees GV with quick 4 points on the board for the Jeeves. Hot and Stevie still fighting that difficult White defense at the back of the pack. Lots of pressure from Jeeves Wiz. While we have GV scoring an additional 4 points for the Jeeves. 43 points on the board now for the Jeeves. As the Steves of Seduction are still fighting for their initial pass. Keanu Jeeves heads to the penalty box, leaving a pack advantage for Black Pack. That's 2 white blockers now headed to the penalty box. GV still with some momentum though, working at scoring points on another scoring pass. Adding another 4 points to the Jeeves total, that's 16 points this jam. While the 2 lone Jeeves blockers are still making life difficult for Hot and Stevie at the back of the pack. Stevie now looking for their pivot. But Pivot is busy with defense at the front. They do make the handoff, and Stevia has now become the jammer for the Steves of Seduction. GV has a little bit more time to score, but decides that's enough for this jam. Who needs more than 16 points? But they did end up with 20, so GV Jadapult needs more than 16 points.
20-point jam, that is exciting. The point spread reflects that jam. We were so much closer 2 minutes ago. We have an official timeout. A reminder, during this timeout, look for your 50-50 tickets. The draw will be during halftime of this game. You could leave richer than when you arrived. I'll bet you those 50-50 ticket sellers are somewhere that I can't see, like right below me. If you are wondering what is going on when we have one of these breaks, all you have to do is look at our jam timer, D. Spencer, who stands at the pivot line with some kind of signal, either hands on shoulders or a giant T sign. When she whistles like that, we are back in play. Our jammers this round are Mr. S. Bean and GV Jadapult sitting in the penalty box. Mr. S. Bean back on the track. Helmet covers on the floor. Mr. S. Bean gets that back in hand. We are looking at our jam refs. They have signaled that that is an initial pass completed. And out of the penalty box, lead goes to JEEVE Jadapult. But why JEEVE Jadapult? Why not Mr. S. Bean? Well, Mr. S. Bean picked up that helmet cover and skated around for a while with it in hand and left the front of the pack with it. Lead is lost by JEEVE Jadapult. We are going to go a full 2 minutes in this jam. Power jam favor goes back in favor of Mr. S. Bean. That is a completed scoring pass, 4 points on the board for that one. That accompanies the previous 4 points. Into the back of the pack where Macaroni and JEEVES was being held up by those Steve blockers. Mr. S. Bean being left to themselves at the front. Pack being spanned by Macaroni and JEEVES and Beetle JEEVES. "15 seconds left in the jam, and JEEVE Jadapult back on the track. Mr. S. Bean hit to the outside. Coming through the front, that's 4 points for JEEVE Jadapult. Time runs out with 2 points each at the end of that jam.
The Accounting Agency, a trusted partner for your financial future. Visit theaccountingagency.ca. Stove and JEEVES does it face off on the jam line in this exciting 21st jam. Stove working hard against the white defense, but JEEVES does it. First one out the front of the pack with lead jammer. Stove not far behind with another jammer race in this game. Full 4 blockers for both teams, sorting themselves out in a bit of a pack race as the jammers approach for some points. A little bit of an inside sweep help for JEEVES does it, allows JEEVES to pick up 1 point. That's 2 points stolen by the Steves of Seduction. 52 points now for Steves, and 62 for JEEVES.
Allies Integrated Health, healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegrated.health. 180 versus 3-3. 3-3 is Steve Me Alone. 180 is miswritten in our rosters. I know that's not Ben JEEVES, even though that's what it says on all of our boards and our notes. Steve Me Alone working at the back of the pack. They have lead and the ability to call it off. Looking to our jam refs. Looks like we've got 2 points to the Steves of Seduction in that one.
A big Eves of Destruction. Thank you to our tireless photographers, Creative Miscellany and Danny Boynton Photography. We all look forward to visiting tonight's greatest hits through your work. Ew, Steven on the jam line for the Steves of Seduction. JEEVE Jadapult again for the JEEVES. JEEVE trying hard for that inside line once again. Not successful this time, but does make it past the back defenders of the Steves of Seduction and finds the front of the pack for lead jammer status. Ew, Steven still fighting at the front of the pack, but drawn back by Keanu JEEVES as they pull the helmet cover off. Keanu Steves, a little bit of one-on-one, bringing the black team's jammer to the tripod rotation, and skill there, saving them from any initial pass or scoring opportunity from the Steves. The JEEVES now rounding for a second scoring pass. JEEVE with impressive footwork again tonight, finds space on the inside line and puts up an additional 4 points. As ew, Steven says, ew, jamming. Setting back at the back of the pack, attempting still the initial scoring pass. A little bit more opportunity here, though. We have GV Jatapult in the penalty box. This is a power jam in favor of the Steves of Seduction. And some fresh legs from new jammer, Steven Conditioner. Steven Conditioner now looking to score points as their offense sets up and gets the pack moving forward. A back block being assessed to one of the blockers from the Steves of Seduction makes that offense a little less intensive on the white pack. Steven Conditioner pushing for the no pack, though, as Keanu G sets back to bridge. Out of play at the front, being called by Rolando Furioso, meaning Steven Conditioner now out the front of the pack on that scoring pass. That's 4 points for Steven Conditioner, and awarded the 4 points that were being held in the penalty box. That's GV Jatapult for the JEEVES of Deduction. And we have finished that jam at the end of this half. The score for the Steves of Seduction is currently 58 points, and the JEEVES of Deduction have 74 points. This is a nice close game, an anything can happen scenario as we go into the second half of our bout. Don't forget that our beer garden will close at halftime of the second game. That's now, so you better get over there to get your final beverage of the night if that's what you're looking for.
I have our 50-50 bucket showing up beside me, so get those 50-50 tickets out. The winner will receive $221.50. One of you is over $200 richer tonight. My cohort Fanny is reaching into the big white bucket of tickets. A yellow ticket. Some of you are unhappy, some of you are happy. 5, 9, 6, 6, 9, 2, 1. I'm listening. Whoever you are, better shout it out. Yellow ticket, last 3 numbers, 9, 2, 1. We have it in the stands. Head up toward the announcer box. You have a little form to fill out and you get to take home some money. Congratulations. Enjoy your intermission. Drink sales stop when the gameplay starts.
With that rolling whistle, we'll get back to the roller derby. Steves of Seduction versus Jeeves of Deduction. A reminder, our score is 58 for the Steves, 74 for the Jeeves, with lots of time left in this game for some exciting action. That's Jeevesy does it on the line for the white pack. And Saturday Night Stever, and out in a flash on Saturday night here is lead jammer, Saturday Night Stever. Jeevesy does it, working hard at the front of the pack to get past that black defense. No pack is called, and Jeevesy can escape. Saturday Night Stever on first scoring pass, working hard to get past the hips of the white skaters. Calls the jam off by tapping the hips, preventing any points on the board for the Jeeves. So Steve's now with 4 more points, 62 at the end of that jam.
A big EOD thank you to our tireless photographers, Creative Miscellany and Danny Boynton. I see them both on the far side of the track right now. We all look forward to revisiting tonight's greatest hits through your work. Speaking of great hits, we've got 007 Steven Seagal against GV Jadapult. Both jammers moving quickly around those packs. Pack stays tight at the pivot line. And it's Steven Seagal out first. Lead goes to the Steves of Seduction. GV Jadapult not to be left behind in the pack, also chasing down. And that's Steven Seagal with a call off before GV Jadapult gets back to the pack.
At the Eves of Destruction's exclusive food truck vendor, Las Panas Kitchen, Venezuelan food right outside, right now. Hot and Stevie and Mischievous jamming for jam 3 of the second period. Full defense for both teams. Setting up as the whistle is blown, Mischievous attacking the black pack at the front. White pack taking the back wall. Hits Hot and Stevie to the outside line and drawing them back. Mischievous still fighting the front of the pack. A little bit of toe-stop work on the line. Stays in order to keep fighting against that solid defense. Steve Me Alone bridging for their pack in the middle of this mess of a jam. Nice tight pack work makes it really difficult for our jammers to proceed forward. Hot and Stevie fighting still at the back of the pack, but Mischievous finally finds a hip check to the inside line. A little bit of momentum derived from that with lead jammer status as the result. Mischievous now eligible for points as black pack takes a back wall defense tripod, slowing Mischievous down. Star pass to Steve Me Alone means that the Steves are now eligible to score. Steve may have snuck by for some points as the call off was made. See what the refs decide. No, that's 1 point for the Jeeves of Deduction. A successful call off for them as the Steves are held scoreless to 66 points. Jeeves now stand at 75.
Visit the roller derby moms table in the vendor village for souvenirs and support our junior roller derby travel. Keanu Jeeves and Stove are jammers. Stove at the front, 1 to beat, right out on the line. And that's a draw back by number 1-3, Jeevesy does it. Stove back at the back of the pack. Through on the inside line. And that's Keanu Jeeves through for an initial pass. Lead sits with Stove. Keanu Jeeves nearing the pack. Stove calls that jam at the front. 1 point.
In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight. Steves of Seduction, Steven Seagal on the jam line. Jeeves of Deduction has GV Jadapult jamming once again. A high-scoring jammer for this game. Give you a little more details on that in a little while. JEEVES working some offense at the front of the pack. A little bit of patience there to see what set up by GV Jatapult. Pushed out to the outside. And has to rejoin for defense at the front as Steven Seagal makes it out of the pack as lead jammer. It's first time there's been a lot of success holding back GV Jatapult, if I can recall. GV has been all over the track as fast as lightning tonight. Steven Seagal drawn back to the top of turn 1. Steven Seagal maybe not realizing that lead jammer status established. But did make the call off with 4 points on the board. JEEVES deduction pulled 3 points out without lead jammer status, so a bit of sneaky jamming by GV made that jam nice and close.
7-point spread as we finished up our 5 jams. This second half has really seen the Steves of Seduction dominating the points on the board as the first points that the JEEVES of Deduction have put up. My cohort Fanny here promised some information about our points. They were right. Our high-scoring jammer in the first half was GV Jatapult with 20 points in 1 jam. Each team is putting out the same number of jammers in their jammer rotation. That's reflected in these close scores. You've got team captain number 5-3 JEEVES Wiz out for the JEEVES of Deduction. Number 06 is Chaotic Stevel. Looking at our hand signals, I see Chaotic Stevel is our lead for the Steves of Seduction. We have a successful helmet cover pass to number 17, Ban JEEVES. Chaotic Stevel calls that jam, gets 1 point on the board for the Steves.
Straight and narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends, both old and new. Straight and narrow. This game has closed up a little bit with the Steves of Seduction with 72 points now, only 6 points behind JEEVES of Deduction, who stand at 78. Stove on the jam line with lots of success tonight for the Steves, and JEEVES does it once again for the JEEVES of Deduction. Back wall start for both teams. Stove finds space on the outside line. That's Stove for lead jammer for the Steves. JEEVES still fighting. Finds the outside line as well and is now on their first scoring pass as Stove approaches for points. Nice strong hit to GV Catapult, knocking him over and calling off the jam for 4 more points. 1 point for the JEEVES for that jam, so 4 points for the Steves and 1 for the JEEVES brings us to a 3-point difference in the first couple minutes of this half.
Hot and Stevie jamming for the Steves of Destruction. They're jamming against Mischievous, who is your lead. Hot and Stevie still in the pack, looking to get by at the pivot line. Steve's blockers getting together, hoping to slow down Mischievous. Hit to the outside. We have 1 Stevia left on the track, number 2. Hit to the inside. That still slows down Mischievous. Hot and GV recycled to the inside. Penalty box starts to empty out. More gets sent in. Pack is moving through the apex. That's Hot and Stevie through. Mischievous calls off that jam. 2 Steves of Seduction blockers left in the penalty box at the end of that jam. That gives a little bit of track advantage to the JEEVES of Deduction.
That was our first major revolving door to the penalty box tonight. At one point we saw one blocker on the track for the Steves of Seduction. who is also in queue for a penalty. So I think that means that all 4 black blockers in that jam rotated through the penalty box at one point. Two blocker advantage for white right now with JEEVES Jadalpult jamming. Those quick feet are going to get him through at the front for lead jammer status. JEEVE Me Alone also working that outside line with their toe stops. Working away at picking off one white blocker at a time. JEEVES Jadalpult attempts to Jadalpult themselves over the apex, but without success this time. Does find the inside line for that scoring pass and has 4 points. Calls it off and prevents any more points on the board for Steves of Seduction. Widens that gap just a little bit to hold on to that lead with 20 minutes and change remaining in the first half or second half.
Parkway Physio. Reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. For our roller derby fans in the audience, which I guess is all of you, you must all like this in some way. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some rules, fun stuff, statistics, strategies. One of the things you'll see our players doing on the track is the jammer with a star on their helmet sometimes will take it off and they will hand it to their teammate that has a stripe on their helmet. That can happen once only per jam. The jammer with the star can only give it to the person with the stripe on. Each team will use that for various reasons. It's usually just to get that cover through the pack because the cover is the thing that owns the points. In our first half of the game, the Steves used that strategy 7 times, whereas the JEEVES did not use it at all. We have JEEVES Does It and Stove as our jammers. JEEVES Does It, recycled to the back of the pack. Stove pushing at the front. JEEVES Does It through with lead. That's 3 leads in a row for the JEEVES. Stove recycled around the outside, comes in. Stevie Does It pushes teammate out of the way. axjeeves.com providing some offensive help. Stove headed to the penalty box. It's a power jam in favor of JEEVES Does It. JEEVES call the jam off with a full 30-second penalty to start the next jam.
The annual Steves of Seduction drag show is happening on July 13th. Come watch some legends. Come watch some local legends and EOD skaters drag it up and raise funds for our travel team. For tickets and more info, visit sos3.eventbrite.ca.
This JEEVES is our only active jammer on the track right now. All skaters are causing some chaos as we move through the apex. Speaking of chaos, number 555 holding the pack back. Out on the track, we have JEEVES Jadalpult as a blocker. Miss JEEVES pushing at the front of the pack. Lead is still available as Stove returns from the penalty box. Pack is slow, moving through the straightaway. Stove finds space on the outside. Number 555 comes in with some help. Lead is established. That goes to Stove. Miss JEEVES finds that same spot on the outside of turn 3 open. Comes through for an initial pass completed. Stove calls that jam.
Those 4 points bring the Steves of Seduction to a 9-point differential to JEEVES of Deduction's 95 points. As we head into jam number 12 with a Saturday Night Stever on the line, jamming for Steves of Seduction. And band JEEVES getting set to jam for the JEEVES. take a little team time out for black. They can discuss their strategies, drink their waters and such.
How did we know it was a team timeout? Why, we take a look at our jam timer, D. Spencer, standing at the pivot line, kindly demonstrating timeout and pointing to the team that has taken the timeout. Look at that. Timeout. I see it. Oh, for the black team. Thank you very much. We've all learned how to read the symbols now from D. Spencer and any jam timer.
And D. Spencer's inspiring demonstration should make you so confident that if you want to join this sport, you can speak to any official or EOD member to find out how you too could be a part of this awesome crew.
You too could dance next to the pivot line with Rolando Furioso.
Back to Saturday Night Stever and Ban Jeeves as jammers for this next jam. Ban Jeeves racing the pack up front. No pack is called, and Ban Jeeves is whistled as lead jammer. Saturday Night Stever tumbled to the inside line, delays their initial pass. She's back fighting that white pack. Ban Jeeves is now approaching for points, passes some hips of the opposing skaters, flips around the hips of that last defender and posts 4 points to the board. Saturday Night Stever still fighting against the Jeeves' defenses, hit to the outside line by Jeeves Wiz. Jeeves Wiz leads the jammer to the tripod defense. 0-1-1, Saturday Night Jeeves still fighting, looking for some offense from friends. Offense is working hard for Stever, but does have to recall to the back of the pack for defense as Ban Jeeves approaches for more points. Ban Jeeves is having a lot of success, though, working through those defenders. Gets up to the front of the pack as one black defender is whistled off the track for a penalty. Ban Jeeves calls the jam, securing another 4 points for the Jeeves of Seduction. The Jeeves of Deduction. That was 12 points overall for Ban Jeeves, that jam.
The Eves of Destruction wish to thank all of the outstanding sponsors that fund the gameplay you enjoy. As you hear more about them, consider if you too would like to help keep us rolling through 2025. Contact us at eodsponsorship@gmail.com. We have Steve Me Alone, number 3-3 in black, versus Jeevesy Does It, number 1-3 in white. Steve Me Alone recycled to the back, pushed to the in. Jeevesy Does It finds the space on the outside line. Lead goes to the Jeeves of Deduction. Steve Me Alone just looking to get past teammate number 555 at the front. Initial pass completed by Jeeves Me Alone. Jeevesy does it through, calls it off.
Nearing the halfway point of this second period, the Steves of Seduction have 84 points, and the Jeeves of Deduction 1-1-1 on the scoreboard. Hot and Stevie and GV Jadapult, our most popular jammer lineup for the evening. Once again, here for your entertainment. GV hitting the front of the pack hard, but it's Hot and Stevie who finds the path on the outside line for lead jammer status. Forearm penalty being issued to Steven Seagal, leaving black pack down one blocker. Hot and Stevie approaching for some points is put out of bounds by Macaroni and Jeeves. Significant defense to the outside line.
That jam ends with another 2 points put on the board for white. Allies Integrated Health, healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegrated.health. Number 19 is Stove in black. In white, we have 604, Keanu Jeeves. Keanu Jeeves on the floor behind those Steve blockers. Ben Steve taking a seat in the penalty box. Stove is through. Lead goes to the Steves of Seduction. Steven Conditioner going to join the penalty box as Keanu Jeeves is through for an initial pass. Hit to the outside. Stove calls that jam off.
I can't say I've ever seen a mustache blowing in the wind like Keanu Jeeves is tonight.
Majestic.
Yes, majestic is how I would describe that. The Steves and the Jeeves all putting on their very best faces for this game. We have an official review called by the Jeeves of Jeeves of Deduction, the hardest phrase to say this evening. Coaches are approaching their ref staff to request either a penalty or review a penalty that was issued. Each team is given one official review per half. If they use it and they succeed at arguing in their favor, they will retain that official review once, but if the referees decide against their request, they will lose their official review for the half. Teams also are allowed 3 timeouts per game, and that's shown on the scoreboard on the outside edges of the board. There are 3 dots above, so each team you can see has taken 1 timeout this game. And the Jeeves of Deduction flashing dot on the right-hand side of the board shows that they're currently using an official review.
Eyes on our referee.
I was told I must twirl my mustache while I do this. White team is requesting 2 points from the box that were not awarded that last jam. I am going to confer this with the rest of the officials to see what they think.
Thank you. He's so dorky. Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you. We'll wait for Dorky to say it, and if he doesn't, then we'll say what Steve said. I wish we had something we could give out as MVP officials outfits. I don't have a thing. We could just choose to award one and then choose a earlier later. I gave away all my mushroom gummies and my weed gummies today.
Unfortunately, White Jammer did not pass any of the remaining blockers on the track, and as a result, they did not get awarded any on-the-track points. White does not retain their official review. Thank you.
Thank you, officials.
And thank you, Hunky Dorky, for that spectacular outfit.
Jeevesy does it, and you, Stevie, are jammers. Outside line open, so lead goes to Jeevesy does it. You, Stevie, push to the inside by AskJeeves.com. Jeevesy does it, gets past Mr. S. Bean, picks up 4 points on their trip. You, Stevie, hands that helmet cover on to Chaotic Stevel, now the active jammer for the Steves of Seduction. Jeevesy does it, calls the jam with another 4 points, 8 points that jam.
Parkway Physio, reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love. For you, it might be hiking. For you, it might be swimming. For most of us here, it's roller derby. This whistle will get us back into jam number 17. Hot and Stevie and Mischievous both jamming for their respective teams. Hot and Stevie push to the inside line. A little bit of offense from Stale. Getting that pack moving forward, and Hot and Stevie is the lead jammer this jam. Mischievous Mischievous also out of the pack and eligible to score points. Hot and Stevie approaching for first points. Approaches the back of the pack. Knocked out by the defending white blockers. Hits the hips as Mischievous approaches the pack. Calls it off. 1 point in favor of the Steves of Seduction that jam, bringing their total to 88, and the Jeeves are held at 121.
Have you decided what you're doing after the game today? You can join the Eves of Destruction at their Swans Pub after party. Stove and Keanu Jeeves. A familiar lineup for us. Both jammers currently going side to side. Agile movement trying to get past those blockers. Almost on the outside line, Stove gets pushed out. Just crossing the pivot line. That's Keanu Jeeves now towards the front. Lead goes to Keanu Jeeves and the Jeeves of Deduction. We have a helmet cover pass. That's gone to number 007, Steven Seagal. Keanu Jeeves takes 4 points and calls the jam.
Western Canada's top roller skate shop since 2003. Put some wheels on your feet with Roller Girl. Mr. S. Bean on the jam line and GV Jatapult for Jeeves of Deduction. The sound of the whistle, the two jammers making contact before proceeding forward into the pack. GV fighting against the black pack. Mr. S. Bean driven to the outside line by Jeevesy Does It. GV Jatapult manages to take advantage of that with a lead jammer status on the top of turn 2. Approaching for points to the outside line, holds the line and continues forward. While Bean is still attempting the initial pass. That is a helmet cover pass from Mr. S. Bean to Steven Conditioner. Steven wants a little bit of excitement while they jam. She's coming in and calling for offense from her pack. Gets the pack a bit forward moving and approaches for some points, makes contact, and gets into a one-on-one battle at the front with Jeevesy Does It. But now puts 4 points on the board. GV Jatapult back into the mess from the box is also eligible for scoring. Comes around and puts 4 points on the board for Jeeves. This will be a 2-minute jam with no lead jammer. Lead jammer status is lost if the lead jammer goes to the penalty box. So both jammers will now be on the track jamming for 2 full minutes. Not an easy task. GV Jatapult rounding with another 4 points for 8 total for each jammer at this point in the jam. Steven Conditioner working on scoring has probably got some points in their pocket, but GV picks up another 4, bringing the total to 12. Inside line pass for Steven Conditioner, and Steven has also put 4 more points on the board. With the jam called at 2 minutes, both jammers put 12 points on the board. A lot of work for an even score at the end of the jam.
I see the roller derby moms table still set up in our vendor village area. You can visit them for souvenirs and to support our junior roller derby travel. That's Hot and Stevie jamming in black for the Steves. In white, we've got Jeeves Whiz. That's your lead for this 20th jam of the game. Hot and Stevie out of the pack. Initial pass completed. We have shed pretty much every skater possible to the penalty box. We have jammers and only 3 blockers on the track. That makes this just a race to get there. Lead still sits with JEEVES Whiz. JEEVES Whiz with a hit to the outside. Those jammers can hit each other anywhere they want on the track. Some defensive jamming gets JEEVES Whiz into a superior position. Hot and Stevie being recycled behind Ben JEEVES. JEEVES Whiz coming through their own skaters and headed to the front of the pack. Step around the apex with 1 to beat. That's JEEVES Whiz through with 4 points. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, Hot and Stevie with the helmet cover in hand doesn't get to do anything with it. JEEVES Whiz calls the jam.
Straight and narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends both old and new. 107 for Steves of Seduction and Jeeves of Deduction with 149. 5 minutes and 40 plus seconds on the clock means there's lots of time to change that around. Steven Seagal jamming for Steves of Seduction and Beetlejeeves for Jeeves of Deduction. Steven Seagal working at the front of the pack to get out. Manages to hold the line as Keanu Jeeves tries to push them out of the pack track boundary. Beetlejeeves is also loose from the pack and eligible to score. The pack picks up a little bit of speed as they reorganize themselves and set up defense. Steven Seagal coming in for some points, passes 1 blocker, 2 blockers, and taps the hips. Jeeves with 0 points on the board at the end of that jam, waiting to see the points for Steves of Seduction. 2 points in the end of that, bringing the total to 109 for the Steves, 149 still for Jeeves of Deduction.
Stove and Jeevesy does it. With some defensive jamming at the beginning of that jam, Stove gets drawn back behind, Stevie does it. Stove now at the front, just about to pass that pivot line. Pack gets reformed by number 3-3. Stove is through with lead, not far behind. Jeevesy does it, isn't willing to give up a lot of time. Both jammers in a race, trying to get their own skaters in position. Stove makes sure they pass at least 1 opposing skater before calling that off. With 1 in the box, that's 2 points.
Jeeves 3PO seated in the box for the Jeeves of Deduction, leaving Steves of Deduction with a 1 blocker advantage at the start of jam 23. Just under 4 minutes left means that the time is slowly ticking away for points to be put on the board for either team. Mr. S. Bean now jamming for Steves of Seduction, xjeeves.com, heeding a false start warning and then taking off when eligible to start on the initial pass. Forearm being issued to one of the blockers for the Jeeves of Deduction means there's now only 2 on the track, holding up Mr. S. Bean. xjeeves.com takes advantage of the pack larger pack numbers and has lead jammer status. Mr. S. Bean, though, out on their tail. 1 blocker on the track currently for White. Lots of work to do, but Jeeves do manage the call off before the Steves can hit the pack. 1 blocker on the pack means all 4 blocker points will be picked up if that blocker is passed legally. So holding on to that pass was really great work on behalf of that 1 blocker.
Our only jammer on the track is Steven Seagal. Lead goes to Steve. Manages to stay on the track even though they went down. Pushes through. That's Steven Seagal with 4 points for the Steves of Seduction. Blockers spilling out to the penalty box. That's Keanu Jeeves to beat at the front. Steven Seagal with 4 points. Penalty box is emptying out. We have AxeJeeves.com back on the track. They have passed that helmet cover on to ban Jeeves. Steven Seagal calls that jam off with another 4 points.
Second jam of the night where we saw a lot of in and out from the penalty box. Several points. There was 1 to 2 blockers from a single team. Pretty difficult to try to hold pack definition while blocking a jammer alone. So that's when you start to see those penalties really spiral, is one lone blocker trying to remain in contact with a jammer and getting pushed to no pack and not wanting to give up that defense. GV Jatapult on the line for the Jeeves of Destruction. Steves of Seduction is Stove. Stove pushing at the front, but does put a skate out of bounds, giving Agatha Jeeves opportunity to draw them back. GV also hit out to the outside line, but does step back in to continue jamming. But it's Stove that finds the path to lead jammer status and is back into scoring position. Keanu Jeeves has returned to the track, able to provide some defense with Macaroni and Jeeves. Stove held up on the outside line at turn 1. Momentum has been completely stalled as the 4 white blockers are holding solid defense. More penalties being whistled from the ref crew as Black 06 heads to the box. That's Chaotic Stevel, followed by teammate Saturday Night Stevel. So 2 blockers down for Black Pack, giving White, the Jeeves of Destruction, a solid pack advantage. And with that whistle, we reach the unofficial end of this game. The referees will sort out if that indeed is all the roller derby tonight. 4 points on the board for the Steves, 127 to Jeeves 149. We'll wait to see the referees call this game.
Steve's captain, if you could bring me your nomination for MVP's team spirit, I will be ready to go. Steve's captain. All right, I have your MVPs. MVP Jammer for the Steves of Seduction. Number 2, 3, Mr. S. Bean. MVP Jammer for the JEEVES of Deduction, number 1-4, Jeevee Jatapult. MVP Blocker for the Steves of Seduction, number 705, Steven Conditioner. MVP Blocker for the JEEVES of Deduction, number 1701, Macaroni and Jeeves. And because I don't have my full roster, you're going to get the regular name of our MVPs for Team Spirit. MVP Team Spirit for the Steves, Spiller. MVP Team Spirit for the JEEVES of Deduction, Doom. We will see you back here in 3 weeks' time, July 26th, for the EVES of Destruction playoff game.